Welcome to the nightmare that gets worse and worse and worse. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It's Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, May the 23rd, and what's going on, everybody? We've got lots of craziness to talk about today, from cryptocurrencies to happy anniversary taper tantrum, 8 years old as of yesterday. But markets are whacked, and all kinds of things are going on, but we still have the same old crap to deal with inside our new government, and the continuation of trying to get Donald Trump out of the race for 2024, as we continue to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on the ex-president, which makes absolutely no sense. But, as we look around, and of course, you've heard the story of the defund the police. Okay. And of course, obviously that's an idea developed by a bunch of moron imbeciles. But in Los Angeles, we now have talk of a subscription police service run by private citizens. God help us. It is amazing at how a few police and a few bad eggs will become the whole. It is interesting that as we were taught as children, hopefully, okay, that one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch, and there's hundreds of thousands of great police throughout the country. And of course, so we're going to destroy and defund the police over some bad apples that may or may not be totally factual. We don't know all the details. Certainly, I do go by the theory, where there is smoke, there is fire. So I am certainly not defending, but I am defending the police department as a whole. I am defending those that defend me, that for $60,000 or $70,000 a year put their life on the line every single day to make sure that we can walk the streets, we can do the things we want to do. Obviously, if you look in where I'm from, which is, let's say, Chicago, you're not safe. Okay, the murder capital of the world, and just as you anti-gun people like to talk about banning firearms, okay, remember that the 5 biggest cities in the country that have the strictest gun laws have the highest number of murders and crime, okay, with all of their great gun laws. What does that tell you? Well, of course it tells you that the criminals will always get the guns. So, who are we kidding? Okay, when we talk about some of these imbecilic things, it is totally a joke to even talk about it. It's a shame we have to waste time discussing how idiotic some of the people are that want to defund our police department. But, I will say this: you've got markets that are creating, tiny bubbles. Remember Don Ho? Tiny bubbles. Well, there's a lot of little things going on. We'll get more into that during our market report. But, we've got, cryptocurrencies plunging. Now, is anybody surprised, or should you be surprised? If you're surprised, you don't understand how markets work. Okay. If you're surprised that it was predictable. In fact, on our Monday night podcast, we discussed weeks ago that there was going to be a meltdown at some point. So, you should never, first of all, you should never be surprised by markets, number one. Number two, you should never be surprised, especially by markets that expand at a rate that is so fast that it cannot keep pace. That is what always causes major meltdowns, probably very much like the United States stock market before it's all said and done. But, we've got the ever weakening economy. And of course, the promise of a new economy, the destruction that our current administration is doing is it may get to a point of beyond repair. We can't, as we talked about last week, we can't get people to work because certainly they are making too much money staying home doing nothing, having a beer, smoking crack, and watching TV instead of working for a living. That's thank you, stimulus. Thank you, President Biden and et al. So this is ridiculous. You've got housing is finally starting to show some weakness because, of course, although our Federal Reserve refuses to discuss inflation, the cost of lumber, the cost of copper, the cost of everything else has risen, but there's no inflation. Let's remember that we don't have inflation. We can't meet our target because we're going to continue to pound the money supply and load it up so that we don't get to the 2% target. And of course, you've got, President Biden, who, one of the things that tells you an asset class is real, one that is out of the ordinary and new, is when governments, central banks, the Fed start to get worried about it. And of course, you are now starting to see here President Biden looking for a way to tax this, China trying to shut it down. Now, let's be clear. You will never be able to shut down Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency world as it continues to expand with now over 10,000 coins, which probably 9,982 are probably garbage. Okay. But you will never be able to shut it down because you've got the internet, you've got the way of flowing information, and you cannot track where these servers might be. So, you can, if we can allow a pipeline attack, okay, and let somebody break into our system, how do you figure you're going to stop cryptocurrency? And you're not. And of course, interestingly enough, ex-Fed guy Larry Summers, okay, who used to work for President Obama as well, says in his opinion, Bitcoin might become the next digital gold. Now, as you know, I have said many times, I am a big believer in the crypto world. I don't own much, unfortunately, but I am a big believer in the space. Wish I would have gotten in earlier. And I don't know that it'll be a digital gold, but I do believe that it will be a place where people will put portions of their money. And I think those that are in communist and much more government-controlled areas will have more. And I think that the ultimate demand for cryptocurrency will continue. You've already had some athletes asked to be paid in cryptos. You go to some of the sports books offshore, and they'll give you twice as much value to play with using cryptocurrency, Bitcoin to be specific. So it's real. Now, the Biden and tax plan, look, this is what we talked about long before. This is not new. Remember, I told you that Biden was it was going to affect everybody. Well, the whole thing with the cryptos, with the new tax plan, affects everybody. Isn't that amazing how once again politicians are all full of hot air and bullshit and give you garbage and con you into believing that they're not going to do it. And of course, bang, 120 days in, we're going to hear about more taxes. Interesting to note, okay, Dr. Michael Burry, if you remember from the movie The Big Short, Scion Capital, biggest short position in Tesla. Okay. Now, again, I'm not saying he's right. I'm just reporting. But I do think it's very interesting that he's carrying his second biggest position is short United States Treasury bonds, which is consistent with rates that are going to be rising and rising quicker than anybody expects, which then will create what? Another meltdown. Again, see, we forget, unfortunately, we forget how markets really function. We forget that things do get out of hand. We forget that markets move too fast because, of course, we become complacent and continue to chase. And the chase for yield is always problematic because you're forcing everybody into one asset class and keeping them out of the world. And of course, the Michael Burry's position, should make some of the elderly and some of the risk-averse investors that are in right now very happy, because what that means is interest rates should start to rise. And again, we don't know for sure, but of course, we know there's always problems. You've got China's the PBOC, People's Bank of China, telling us that they're going to try to maintain stability, which means they're just going to do some more manipulation. This is the issue. The manipulation of the fiat currency system, which is actually fuel for the crypto world. And the weakening, as we said, the weakening economic data, which, with the housing, and the spending power and the lack of jobs, although there's plenty of jobs, the lack of workers, you are looking very much into hyperinflation, maybe sprinkled with a little stagflation. You're almost potentially, and again, I am not predicting, but there's the potential, there's the possibility that we could return to the Jimmy Carter era because of the moronic behavior we have in Washington. Because we have controlled and turned everything over to everybody else, from the oil to the OPEC criminals, and of course, China taking charge. And don't be surprised if at some point China makes a play to take over the world. This is a very, very serious time in American history. And, from the potential of a revolution inside our own country, because we're already seeing many, many warning signs of that, to a battle outside. And this is what happens when you release total control of your country and put yourself in the hands of others, especially when the others are the ones that hate you to begin with. Think about it. It's a fact, that those issues do exist, but it's something to think about. We don't preach fear. We don't talk about it, but we do certainly report the facts. And what we see are things that are very, very serious issues that may lead down the road of disaster. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, May the 23rd from Las Vegas. Let us take a break here, and we'll be back with our market report just after the break, right here on Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, as you know, I always talk about our brokerage partners, and, I have other brokers. I think I have, probably 6 or 7 equity brokers and probably 6 or 7 or 10 futures brokers. But I always end up going back and using predominantly for futures and commodities. It's always the CTG group or CTG. Why else would I want to go anywhere else? They have the best customer service. They take care of the members. They're the only ones that I've authorized to use our letter of direction trading because, again, they do the right thing all the time. They've got some brand new managed futures products coming out. Unbelievable. And, of course, they're there to help you. So you want some information, just go to info.capitaltradinggroup.com /Bubba trading, /Bubba, it's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. And they'll be happy to help you and answer all your questions. And of course, for equities and options, there is nothing like Tradier. Okay. Again, $10 a month. Need I say more? I will say more, but need I say more? Saves me about 5 figures a month. Okay. Which I'd rather have the 100 and some thousand in my pocket than put it in some broker's pocket. Okay. But in the meantime, they have wonderful customer service. Plus, we've got their APIs, which gives us the opportunity for you to automate your hedging portfolio if you're hedging with us, or our equity portfolios. Now, you don't have to use Tradier. You can do whatever it is you want to and trade where you want. We don't tell anybody where to trade. But at this point, and as of today, the only place that we have automation is with Tradier, because certainly the $10 a month was the big factor for us, because there is no other charge. And the auto trading is part of your membership that you don't pay for. It's just part of overall membership. In the meantime, family farms, what a partner there, as we start to see some turbulence here in the farming markets with grains and things, it's family farms is there to help them and continue to help try to educate as we are, and to help them. Again, it's not to teach them how to farm, it's to help them better manage the financial part of the farming business. And I can't wait for the July event. And of course, that is obviously coming soon. It'll be here before we know it. Besides, I'll probably be out before then. And of course, our commodity report written by Andy Hecht. There is no report like it. If you're in the commodity space, if you're involved, if you don't have technical, you're making a mistake. I mean, Andy, 40-year veteran of the markets, at one time the biggest silver trader in the world, writes a phenomenal report each and every week. And we've got the quarterlies coming out again. Technical, check it out at BubbaTrading.com. And of course, our high school program at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Let us get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report with me, your host, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, May the 23rd. And of course, we are doing our market report. Okay. And our market report will be sponsored by Tradier Brokerage. And of course, again, as I've said many times before, we've got other brokers, but I always come back to Tradier because they save me about 5 figures a month because I trade that much, and they're at $10. Okay. They've got unbelievable customer service anytime they've ever been down, and all brokers go down. There's no thing like that. They got somebody who actually answers the phone or emails you back within minutes. So how can I think of anybody else? Plus their APIs, which we have, and we can automate everything if you choose. It is your right, not your obligation. So certainly check them out. And of course, family farms. I'm talking about markets. So I kind of got myself lost here, but obviously this is done live and without script. So anyways, as we look back at markets for the weekend, of course, we're short the equities across the board. And there was some indication that there might be a little bit of a turn. Now, for the week itself, okay, I will say this. It was pretty much of a flat week, lower, but neutralish, not a lot of action. There were some attempts to rally. There was some attempts to sell off. We remained short. Okay. Looked like there could be some change, but suddenly, again, I guess we'll say cooler heads prevailed, although, again, we didn't go anywhere fast, and there certainly is no panic, and volatility continues to fall. But for the week, the major indices were down slightly on the week. Okay. Now, of course, the metals, had a good week. Now they finished a little bit weak, but, at the end of the day, I think that, it was a solid week for them. I think you saw pretty solid trade and action. And overall, I believe you're going to see that, they're probably going to move higher. I would be the only one I would be concerned about would be platinum. Gold and silver look great. And I think they're running and go much higher. I think you've got that opportunity of a big move to the upside. But, platinum's up weak, but we don't actually carry position in platinum anymore because it is not liquid enough. I personally buy physical platinum. In the meantime, we're long both gold and silver. The bonds and notes, okay, we are, of course, still long both of them. But, again, we are playing the trend. They were, moderate flat to slightly higher last week. They don't look very good. I kind of agree with Dr. Michael Burry myself, but again, I will always follow the algorithms. Nat gas, it came down a little bit. It's really basically, it got above 3 and just closed just below 3. Still looks pretty good, and we're still long. Copper, what a nice run we had in copper, but it did get smushed on Thursday and Friday, and we are going to reverse tonight or tomorrow. That'll be, depending on, everybody's got their choice of when they're going to reverse. If you're using the CTG group, it's done at 7:30 Eastern when the trades come out. It's always done at the same time. So again, it depends, but everybody knows what the trade is supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. So it just depends. But obviously it's come under pressure, and you would suspect that there might be some selling coming on here. The dollar, it did get under 90 last week. We're still short. Now, again, I think that this is what you have when you have an idiot Fed that continues to want to tell you of the no inflation and so on, which creates that they have to continue to make dollars, which makes them cheaper, which is like stealing money right out of your pants pocket. So think about it. Crude oil, the crude oil looks, pretty awful. Okay. But of course, we are still long crude oil. I think that, it's getting to that point though, it probably should reverse fairly quickly. And, as you look into the grain markets, we are now short the grains across the board. And pretty much had corn was a little bit higher for the week overall, but really been under some heavy pressure now. I do like the space quite a bit. Okay. And certainly we'll be looking forward to getting along. My opinion of the grains has not changed other than as a trade, I have to follow the rules and the algorithms just like the guys that I trade and teach. So we are short. The meats, fats, feeders, and hogs, we are long across the board. And of course, again, we're only trading the trend. And if you look at the trend, okay, that's what you want to be involved with. Remember, they don't necessarily mix the short-term trend, which is what we're trading, days, weeks, months, versus long-term expectations. I own stock, but I'm short the indices right now, but there'll be time I'm out long the indices. Right now, short grains. Now, I don't own grains. I'm not a farmer, but I would, if I had inventory, I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would be just trading what the trend is, because, I guess the best real example is the precious metals, because I own them. I just bought more. No, but not because we're in an uptrend, because we just came out of a downtrend. I buy them all the time because I'm going to hold them through everything. I'm never going to sell them. So at the end of the day, that's what you want to look at. So, and in the meats, again, we are long across the board. But overall, looking for a good summer for our friends in agriculture, the farmers, our buddies. And of course, in the softs department, we are short cotton. Okay. We are long coffee. We are long OJ. We are short sugar, and we are long cocoa. Okay. So, like a little breakfast, and, you can take care of it all. But the big picture is clear. I mean, markets are a little frothy. They're a little bubbly, but we can't predict when the end will near. But the only thing I can look at is it's making lower highs. Okay. And we are short at the moment. But if that changes, obviously, my position will change. This is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, May the 23rd. We're going to step out here for break and be right back with my commentary and some interesting things in sports when we come back from the break. What up, everybody? Well, we have some sponsors that help us put this show together for you. And of course, one of them is the CTG Group, and of course, it's Capital Trading Group, who's very good friends of the program and the show, and of course of mine, because they are the only ones we authorize to do our letter of direction trading. Now, you know, we have many brokers that we can choose from, and I have accounts at many different places, but my preference always lies back, and I've only authorized the CTG Group, because they do the right thing. And as you know, if you've been a listener or you've been a member for any period of time, you know that one thing here at Bubba Trading, we want to do the right thing, and we only align ourselves with those that will also do the right thing. We don't preach bull. We preach fact. Okay. Anyways, great stuff with CTG, great new products that you can check out. Go to Capital Trading Group, go to info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. That's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. In the meantime, okay, our friends with Family Farm, friends and partners at Family Farms, you know, the July event is around the corner. The country's opening up, and I can't wait to see everybody. Can't wait for the event, but obviously we'll be in touch sooner. You got to check them out, though. Family Farms, they're a great organization, and love to be around them. And in our commodity report with Andy Heck, which, you know, listen, he's the top author at Seeking Alpha. He's rapidly approaching top at bar charts. And of course, he's an experienced professional trader for 40 years, as I am on the other side, on the retail side, or the commercial side. I was wholesale, he was retail. But if you look at it, I mean, the best report in the country. If you're trading commodities, you're not reading technical, shame on you. Go to BubbaTrading.com, check it out. And our high school program, which, you know, we fund 92% ourselves, and we'll be back in full-blown operation now that everything's opening up in September. But anyways, if you'd like to help us out, it's Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. And now my commentary for the week, a couple of sports items. I'll tell you. Okay, number one, Phil Mickelson. It's before the end of the PGA. 50 years old, been leading almost wire to wire. Okay, interesting. I mean, I think Koepka will probably catch him, but God bless Phil, and I hope he does do it. But I think the biggest story of the week is the same garbage and bull that we always get from the NBA. Okay, and of course, Charles Barkley, who I have respect for, said it best. The NBA ain't got the balls to fine or suspend LeBron James for not living up and using the proper health standards throughout this COVID. Okay, and of course, that's a fact, because we know one thing about the NBA. They're only about the money. They could care less about the rules. They don't care about anybody but George Washington, which is what I'm saying is the money. All right. Again, if you just go back, if you rewind the clock 18 months, okay, you had their opportunity to speak up in China. Okay. And what did they do? Okay. They withered away and slithered out, continued to stay with China, continued to get the money. Okay. One NBA executive spoke up and got fired. And of course, we came to the next big movement, okay, which they supported heavily, okay, and not because they're true believers, it's because of the money. Remember, they could care less except for one thing, the almighty buck. So remember the hypocrisy, and remember Charles Barkley. The NBA ain't got the balls. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. I want everybody to have a great weekend, a great Sunday. We'll see you back here tomorrow with a Bubba's Daily Update. And, of course, to all of you, enjoy a great weekend. If you're a golf fan, it couldn't be a better day with a real good leaderboard. We'll see you all tomorrow, and if not, next Sunday with another Bubba's Bottom Line.